But the thing is, yes, you can. It's mindset. You just don't want to.
Mm,
Like, if you wanted to do it, you could do anything. Anything in
mm,
this world is attainable.
mm,
So I just know I knew I work for someone else, right? So then that
mm,
means that someone can say, "Hey, Sherece, we no longer want you here tomorrow. Do not come
mm,
back." And that
mm,
happened. That happened to me. And instead of
mm,
me, you know, wallowing in the feeling of hurt and disappointment, it was like, okay,
mm,
this is a sign from God because God does
mm.
not, He would not bring me this far to let me go. So
Absolutely.
I knew it was time to what full court press,
Yeah.
it's time
Yeah.
to pull my boots up and hold my head down and focus in because we're here now. So I can either sit here and cry about it or I can, take control of my destiny.
Welcome to Show Your Receipts, where we believe if you can see it, you can be it. Receipts are evidence or proof that something has occurred. Our guests are evidence that Black excellence is alive and well. They will be sharing their receipts on how they've been able to accomplish so much in their life. I'm your host, Tony Jackson. Let's get started.
Welcome to Show Your Receipts, where we believe if you can see it, you can be it. I am so excited to have a conversation with our guest today. Our guest today is Sherece Brown, the visionary founder of Dr. Pabs Pineapple is a Berry. Has always been passionate about health and wellness. Born to Jamaican immigrant parents, Sherece's journey is a testament to hard work, resilience, and a deep commitment to making positive impact on the world. Sherece graduated from Howard University, a prestigious institution known for its rich history and commitment to excellence. With a degree in hand, she embarked on a successful 16-year career in corporate America. However, her passion for health and her desire to create something meaningful led her to a new path. She has created a fantastic company that we're going to talk about today. We're going to put the website link in the description so you can be able to check it out. But I am excited to have a conversation today with Sherece. How are you doing today, Sherece Brown?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm excited to have you on the pod today. Let's jump right into it, Sherece, because I did a little bit of research on your company and your products. Talk to me about your company. Talk to me about your products, and share with me why what you're doing is so important for people, and specifically for their health.
Okay. So the company is called Dr. Pep's Pineapple is a Berry. Did you know that pineapples are berries?
I did not know pineapples were berries.
Well,
I
it's
didn't know.
it's an acronym, PABS, pineapples are
Okay.
berries.
Okay.
And the doctor part of it is because I have a board of doctors and food scientists that I go to with my formula. And I
Mm.
say, this is what the research says, and help me
Mhm.
formulate these products. So the research says that omega helps with ADHD, and instead of taking medication, maybe an alternative for a parent for their children could be vitamins. See how that
Mm.
works first. So, yeah, in developing my company was basically my love story with my from my parents, my mother, my
Mm.
grandmother, and my
Mm.
father. As a kid, he would remind us, like, I was like in maybe junior high school, like, think about a business that you want to start. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. And, that's just planting the seed. And he watered it over the years, and I watered it, and here it has blossomed. So, again, developing Dr. Pab's Pineapples a Berry is just part of my love story and passing on the love that my parents gave to me for other kids and, other children.
That is exciting. I can't wait to dig into your story and your parents and all of that. But talk to me a little bit more about the product. Where can people buy your product? And if a person starts to take or consume your product,
Mhm.
what are some of the benefits that they could expect from consuming your product?
Okay, so we'll start with I'm mostly plant based when it comes to what I consume.
Mm,
And it was hard for me finding products on the market that worked for me that had no
Mm,
gelatin. And a lot of people
mm.
don't know that gelatin is pork byproduct. You
I did not know that. Are
yes.
you serious? So gelatin, all whenever you see gelatin, it's coming from pork.
Yes. So even like
Wow.
okay, years ago, right now they're changing changing it where gelatin is also beef product,
Mm,
byproduct.
mm.
I'm so sorry. I live in the city. I don't
It's
know
all good.
if
I
you
live in the city too, so you're gonna hear some stuff on my end too. It's all good.
so yeah, again, on the market looking for products, vitamins for me, and not finding supplements that did not have a gelatin capsule. I don't consume
Mm,
pork, I don't consume beef, and
mm,
it was just difficult. It's
mm,
just an extra step for me where I would have to open the capsule, put it in my shake, because you take the vitamin from the capsule straight. It's just it's not good. It doesn't taste good.
yeah,
It's bitter.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I would try to mask the taste by just adding it in my shake and still getting the vitamins that I need.
Mm,
So this is me being like inclusive to, you don't have to
mm,
be plant-based to have this product or take this product, but it
mm,
does include people who one by way of religion, they don't consume pork or beef,
mm,
or it's just a way of life. Like for me, it's just my way of life. So
mm,
it, thinking of everyone, when you create something like this can not just fits me, but it can fit you too. And with creating something that had a multivitamin, simple multivitamin, vitamin A, C, and D,
mhm.
and E, and with omega 3. And most people will think, yeah, omega comes from fish, but my omega comes from algae oil, which
Mm,
makes this completely plant based.
mm. So, do you also not consume fish or chicken as well?
Well, I started to started to ease that back into my diet, but
Mhm,
I
mhm.
think that for my future, because there are so many studies now that say that people who have a basic plant-based diet
Yep,
are living longer. I
absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't know. You remember? Did you eat school lunch when you were a kid?
Oh yeah.
You had that? What do they have? That watery pizza.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
That rectangular pizza.
Yes,
It was
yes.
in a it was in a rectangle shape. Yeah, yeah,
Or the tuna sandwich, and it's like the void of nutrients,
yeah.
right? And so if you can start with helping your kid with just little simple steps of just taking a vitamin that will help with their hair, their skin, their brain,
Absolutely,
their
absolutely.
muscle mass, their the
Yeah,
growth of their muscles and retaining information in school, these little changes make a world of a difference.
absolutely. So let's dig into that a little bit more because you know in the African American community, there's lots of conversation about life expectancy. There's lots of conversation about even like physical violence and all of these different things. But in actuality, it's health concerns and high blood pressure and diabetes. Those are the things that are the biggest killers. It's not a a drug dealing murderer somewhere. It's the food on our plates. And so, talk to me about the impact of you being raised by immigrants. Did that have an impact on you having a more a healthier perspective on food? Because I know that some Jamaicans are vegetarian and are completely plant based. Do you think that that played a role into how you eat today and you developing and creating this company?
Absolutely. Growing up, like you said, New York, my dad had a little garden in the back where we had
Mm,
tomatoes, green peppers, red peppers, peppermint leaves.
mm,
Um, and I never had fish sticks until I went to like
mm,
school. Like everything was fresh, everything was
mm,
seasoned freshly. I
mm,
We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner at home.
mm,
Everything was cooked from scratch.
mm,
And
mm,
with that knowledge, taking that into my adult life, I feel different. I could feel the difference when I was in college, and I couldn't. make breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I had to go to the cafeteria and
Mhm.
eat what I could afford. And
Yeah.
with making the change and the transition into adulthood, where I had terrible skin in college, the stress,
Mm.
and
Mm.
again, being able to go back to my roots of what I was taught at home made a world of a difference in my body.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
a lot of that those ideas I take into what creating the vitamin supplement, because why not pass on that information and that love that was poured into me?
Absolutely, absolutely. And let's dive into that love that was poured into you. You have a very very interesting and unique and special childhood. Your parents were entrepreneurs. Your grandma was very much involved in your development and who you became. Talk to me about. Can you tell me about who do I need? What do I need to know about the childhood, the young Sherece Brown, that, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 year old? What do I need to know about that girl to understand better the woman who I'm talking to today?
Well, this all comes from one my I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and I am a
Mm,
lady because of her. I
mm,
am. I mean, I remember when, going to bed, our ritual was reading my Bible
mhm,
and reading it out loud. And I could never leave the house without my purse.
mm.
Young ladies always have a purse.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Or
yeah.
she's like, young ladies don't whistle.
Okay, okay, okay.
you
She's
know,
from the old school. They
yeah.
got they got the They got the mindful demure rules of the old school.
Right. Or even like, I couldn't was we always had to leave the home. We had a cup of tea before we left home. Every
Mm.
My grandmother would say, you have to warm up your belly. Gotta warm up
Mm.
your belly.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's why
yeah.
peppermint leaves were so important, because we literally made our tea from the backyard. And it's my favorite
Wow.
to this day. So
Mm.
I have tremendous love and respect for my grandmother, because without her, I don't know where I would be. I feel completely blessed, and I miss her because she's no longer with us. And
Mm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
and you're not gonna make me
Um,
cry.
I no,
I'm
we don't want
flying.
to, Sharice, we don't want this to be a tearjerker. But I mean, that's an incredible story just to have that. So you had that intergenerational impact going, where you were getting impacted by your grandma, you were getting impacted by your mom, you were getting impacted by your dad. Your dad started you off on the right food diet. Your grandma taught you how to be a lady. Like, you were getting all of this education at an early age. Talk to me about you in school at an early age. You know, elementary, middle school, high school. Talk to me about the schools you attended. What kind of student were you? I mean, and I guess the question that I'm asking and I'm trying to get to is, there may be somebody watching this who maybe was a great student and maybe aspire to some of the success you've had. Maybe they were an average student. Maybe they weren't a great student. Maybe they went to a great school. Maybe they didn't go to a great school. Maybe they went to a mediocre school. But what was your story? What kind of school did you go to? What kind of student were you? And how did that develop you and prepare you?
I started off with a private school, but I do remember my dad not liking the private school, so
Mm.
we moved to Queens.
Can
Um,
I ask? Can I ask why your dad didn't like the private school?
He didn't feel that I was developing. He did not
Mm.
feel that I remember him saying he met a young kid, young a mother, and she had her child, and he struck up a conversation with this kid, and the kid is like 5 or 6, and he was
Mhm.
bright and confident, and my dad said, "What school does he go to?" And I guess they talked about it, and so my dad up and bought a house in Queens, and I started going to
Mm.
this elementary school, and it was in the middle class community, and I had fantastic teachers,
Mm.
and I loved going to school. I loved learning, um, and I think that it's very important for children to know where they're coming from, where their
Mm,
history is, so they know that they're going where they're going. You know, my dad didn't really talk too much about Jamaica. I would talk about Jamaica with my grandmother.
mhm,
I would go as a kid, but then there was a period of time where I didn't go. And I remember going back for my grandfather's funeral in Jamaica. He didn't make the journey with my grandmother because he didn't like America. He didn't want to be here.
mm.
So she came here with her 7 kids by herself and
Okay.
made it happen.
Mm,
And I remember landing on the island in March. It was almost like 100 degrees, and I understood him. I get it. Like, I get it, grandpa. No judgment. I get why you didn't want him to come.
yeah,
I get it.
yeah,
And the food was so amazing.
yeah.
Just the land was so beautiful.
Mhm,
And from then I was like, okay, we're not playing around with my time, you know. Let me focus in. And that, I mean, I was a student, also an athlete just like you, but I didn't make it. I
mhm.
didn't no big time. I'm I'm a small fry. And
What sport did you play?
I ran track in elementary school, and
Of
then
course, you
played, yeah,
Jamaica track. Of course, of course.
you could see where that the lines
Yeah, yeah.
connect. And then I played basketball in high school.
Mhm.
My brother, he played basketball, and I just wanted to be him.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
just like, I wanna be like you.
yeah.
So I, started, learning how to play basketball, and I
Mhm,
think that also helps you focus, you time
mm,
management. Me being
mhm,
having a corporate career for 16 years and also still maintaining and building my business while I'm working 8 to 10 hours a week for someone else. Then I would
mhm,
come home and then put in another 6 hours for myself and still have the
mm,
energy to go to work and produce and perform.
mm.
So,
Let's double tap on that. What gave you the inspiration, the energy to do that, right? Because you got so many people who are like, they can't even barely survive and have the energy just to do a 9 to 5. You were doing a 9 to 5 and then a 5 to 9 or 5 to 10 or what? You were double dipping. What gave you that energy, that passion to go through that?
but the thing is, yes, you can. It's mindset. You just don't want to.
Mm,
Like, if you wanted to do it, you could do anything. Anything in
mm,
this world is attainable.
mm,
So I just know, I knew I work for someone else, right? So then
mm,
that means that someone can say, hey, Sherece, we no longer want you here tomorrow. Do not come
mm,
back. And that
mm,
happened. That happened to me. And instead of
mm,
me, you know, wallowing in the feeling of hurt and disappointment, it was like, okay,
mm,
this is a sign from God, because God
mm.
does not, he would not bring me this far to let me go. So
Absolutely.
I knew it was time to what? Full court press,
Yeah.
it's time
Yeah.
to pull my boots up and hold my head down and focus in, because we're here now. So I can either sit here and cry about it, or I can, take control of my destiny. And
Absolutely.
I
So
think
talk,
the best thing for me to do was take control of my destiny.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Walk me through that moment when you did get, because it's a huge conversation right now about downsizing and about offshoring and about right sizing or whatever the case, whatever you want to call it. And now it seems like it's more white collar jobs that are starting to be targeted, corporate level jobs and tech based jobs that are now starting to get this. Where before people thought it was like, no, that's what happens in manufacturing, that's what happens in that's what happens in automotive and all these different things. Walk me through the moment when you did get this feedback that you were no longer going to be working at this particular company that you've been working at for a while. In that moment, when you got this information, what were you feeling? And the incredibly strong mindset that you just shared with me right now, did that immediately pop on, or did it take you like, okay, did you kind of go down in the depths for a few days and then you had to kind of talk your way out of that? Talk to me about that, Sherece.
I always have had gratitude. I am
Mm,
so thankful to have the people that I have in my life. And I think that
mm,
once you have gratitude, you know you don't have time to be in the dumps.
mm,
You don't have time.
mm,
So again, I was preparing because if you watch the news, if you're listening to the radio and understanding what's happening in America, you got
mhm,
to prepare. And
mhm,
I am lucky that was it junior high school when my dad said, think about a business you want to start.
mm,
And when I was inspired during COVID to start my first business, which is a medical goods distribution company on the island of Jamaica,
mm,
which also helped me birth Dr. Pabs.
mm,
There was, okay, okay, I've been doing double duty for a long time. I've been
mhm,
doing, instead of vacation, I was working,
mhm,
instead of
mhm,
spa trips, I was working,
mhm,
and,
mhm,
so instead of birthday trips, I was working.
mhm, mhm.
So it was almost like, okay, I can relax now and then focus in on what's really most important to me, which was my business. And I'm not saying that my ego wasn't bruised. Oh, it was very bruised. Like, how dare you? How dare you?
Yeah,
I should be the one walking away from you. You don't walk
yeah,
away from me.
yeah,
But it was almost like, again, a sign from God. He closes one door and opens another. And who knew? Maybe I was working myself so much. Maybe I would have collapsed. Who knows? I mean, I didn't feel that overwhelmed because anytime I was working on my business, from building the website or creating my graphics or ordering my containers or ordering my boxes, I was in bliss. I was happy. I had to
mm,
force myself to go to bed at night. Like, okay, Sherece, it's
mm,
time, cut off time, because you have to wake up. You have to get to work on time. You don't want to be
yeah,
late. So, yeah, definitely when I got that news, it bruised my ego, but it was like, all right, well, deuces, I'll see you guys at the top, or I'll, it's like,
yeah,
it's just one stop on the train.
yeah,
It's not your story. It
absolutely.
it was my investor. I always say my corporate job was my
Mm,
very first investor, and thank God
mm,
for my investor.
absolutely.
I would never tell anyone to quit your job. Don't quit your job yet. If you're still employed and you can do both, do your best to do both, because you never know what bill will come about that you just can't afford. It's either building your business or eating. Like, it can be hard, it can be scary, but if you want to do it, you can.
Absolutely. And man, I want to reiterate something that you just said, and then also kind of go back and ask you another question. But
Okay.
it's funny. It makes me think about you sharing your story. Obviously, first of all, shout out to the Jamaican work ethic, right? Shout out to the Jamaican work ethic. It makes me think about the in Living Color when
I
they used to
hated
crack
that
the
when I
joke
was in
about
elementary school. I hated, like, what? Oh, I felt so
the
offended.
family when the look when the 10-year-old kid had like 7 jobs and the daddy had 10 jobs. I mean, it's a Jamaicans have a reputation for hard work, for working multiple jobs. So the fact that you were doing your corporate job and then building your business at night, it's almost like you were a part timer as a Jamaican. You were kind of chilling a little bit as a Jamaican, only working 70 hours, 80 hours a week. So that's incredible. You carrying on that Jamaican tradition. But one thing that I want to even kind of go back and mention, because we're talking about who you are and how you developed into who you are, and obviously your parents played a major role. But shout out to your dad who interjected and saw this school is not it. I'm pulling my baby girl out. I'm going to another place. I'm buying a house to get my daughter into the right school that she's supposed to be in. And so talk to me about, and it's hard for you to probably explain because all you know is growing up in that kind of household and in that kind of environment. But there's a lot of conversation on how single parent homes or absentee fathers, or how a lot of these things have a negative impact in the long term trajectory of kids. Talk to me about the impact that it had for you to have such involved parents who were willing to relocate to ensure that their baby girl got the kind of education that they wanted her to get.
Hmm. Well, I would say it was definitely part of my wonderful journey. And it's very important because I think that, especially in the Black community, some of us lack confidence. And our confidence as children come from both our parents, mother and
Mm,
father.
mm,
And my father was a little militant in certain things as far as like
mm,
I'm a bit tall. I'm like 5'10".
mhm,
And so I was a taller little girl, as you say.
mhm, mhm.
And there was no hunching my shoulders over. There was
Right.
no being awkward. It was like, you stand up straight. You look people
Mm,
in the eye
mm,
when you are addressed. And I don't know if I would have gotten that type of confidence from my mother. I got other confidence from my mother and my grandmother,
mm,
but from my father, it was almost, you deserve to be here.
mm,
Breathe in this oxygen
mm,
like everyone else confidently, and you do not compare yourself to other people. That
mm,
and that was a lesson he definitely did, instill in my sister and I. Like, you don't compare yourself. You compete with yourself all the time. It's not
mhm,
Sharice versus Tina, or it's always Sharice versus Sharice. And so when
mm,
people ask me, what is the difference between Dr. Pabs and other multivitamins? I would say, I don't know. I don't compare, but I can tell you
mm,
that I went out of my way to find a manufacturer here in the United States that is a FDA approved facility. I wash every container before we put any vitamins in the bottles. Like, we take care and love and put love into our product. So hopefully they
mm,
can feel it and you can reap the rewards.
mm. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's go back. So let's talk about high school as you're getting older. Did you believe as you were maybe coming of age? I know your dad had a conversation with you earlier. And it's just funny. I'm thinking about it again, the whole Jamaican thing. Like, 7 years old. He's like, think about the business you're going to start. Think about what company you're going to start. Like, where's your business plan, fifth grader? Come on, let's go.
Yes, I
But
remember he bought us some books to learn about stocks, and I was like, dad, I don't know. This one, that one I think collected dust.
yeah, yeah. So when you were in high school, I know you said that you were an athlete. Did you aspire to also be an entrepreneur? And if so, did you already have an idea on what area that you wanted to go into?
God, no. I mean, it was all I would think, like, oh, what do I want to do? What can I do? What I did not know. But I knew
Mhm.
that um I loved sports. I loved playing. I loved the fact that that my teammates, and then balancing school. And there was one time that I had practice in the morning, I had school, and then practice in the evening, and then I was in theater classes on the weekends, and then dance
Wow.
classes on the weekends. Like,
Yeah.
we had a really busy household.
Mm.
So I didn't. I mean, I was just being a teenager and trying to
Yeah.
live and um enjoying life the best way I
Yeah.
knew how. Had no
Yeah.
idea. And if I did, oh boy, I probably would have started taking business classes early on.
Yeah. 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 No, that's awesome. So basically, you had a seems like a very aggressive schedule, and so as a high schooler, and so even though you didn't have dreams on necessarily becoming an entrepreneur at the time, you were kind of entrepreneur in training by wearing so many hats and this club and this sport and this thing and that thing. So maybe God was kind of directing your paths already at a young age to get ready.
Well,
Um,
I do remember. I forgot about this. You just helped me remember this. In high school, I used to write papers for $20.
Oh wow. Okay. All
And I was like, okay,
right.
listen, the teacher knows who their students are. So listen, I'll get you a C, I can get you a B. I
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
write
Yeah.
you
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know you're not an A student. The teacher knows you're
Exactly.
not an A student.
Okay.
So
So
I would
you
write papers for $20 and then I would go home and tell my dad, I was like, Dad, I mean, I'm doing this. He would say, okay, you will get in trouble. Do
mhm,
not write
right.
any more papers for your classmates.
Right. Right. So let you know what I'm one thing that I'm excited to talk to you about is Howard University. One of my favorite authors of all time is Ta-Nehisi Coates. I read everything that he writes. Obviously he's a Howard alum. He calls Howard the Mecca, the Mecca of Black excellence. And so, I think I may have over romanticized, HBCUs because I didn't go to a PWI. I went to the PWI of PWI. Like, so I went to the almost exact opposite of HBCU. But when I think about HBCUs and I think about the creme de la creme, I think of Howard University. As you were in high school, what made you decide to apply and go to Howard? Was that a counselor? Was that a parent? Was that your idea? Did you have a friend going? What drove you to Howard initially in the first place?
Okay, so I went to primarily a white high school
Mm-hmm.
and I was learning a lot about white history.
Mm,
And yeah, my Jamaican culture, I had to learn that at home.
mm,
But there was not enough, I felt, any Black history.
mm,
There was not enough about who I am and where I
mm,
come from. And
mm,
I wanted to go to an institution where my teachers, my professors looked like me, and they have the experience that I will have when I enter the world with the job market. So that
mm.
was my thought process. I did I did get admitted not admitted, but I did get what is it called?
Accept it. Accept it.
Accepted, exactly. I got accepted to NYU. I think I got a full ride to I think Buffalo University. I don't
Okay.
remember, but I wanted to go to Howard. And
Yeah.
they didn't give at the time give freshman women scholarships. So my dad had to pay for that. And I remember sitting there
Mm,
talking to him about it, like, Dad, this might not be the most feasible thing for us to pay for this, even though I got a full ride somewhere else.
mm-hmm.
And he said, no, if this is what you want, this is
Mm,
what you go after.
Militant daddy. Ooh, I love it. I love it.
So Howard is where I went because that is
Yeah.
what I wanted. And of course, we
Yeah.
all remember the Cosby Show
Yes.
and
A
Living
different
Color.
world.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so and I just thought, like, that's where I want to be. I want to be with those people, those type of people. That is where I want to be. I think that is where I
Yeah.
will thrive and where I will learn the most and be comfortable or not
Absolutely.
comfortable. And when I got there, it was an amazing, I guess, wake up call because there were so many different. We are not monolithic. And
Yes.
people forget that
Right.
we are all different types of people. We might
Absolutely.
be Black, but we are different. No, we're not
Yeah.
all the same. And
Yeah.
it was absolutely one of the best times of my life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's the exciting thing about HBCU is because you actually get an opportunity to experience the monolith, right? It's like you get a chance to go to school with the rich Black kids and the poor Black kids and the city Black kids and the suburb Black kids. And you get a chance to see that it's all, the immigrant parent Black kids, maybe the Black kids who consider themselves more African than Black or however you want to describe. Yeah, so that is a very interesting experience. I did want to touch back on something that you talked about. You talked about um, your high school being predominantly white. Talk to me about how you navigated that world because I know that we may have some people who are watching this, whether they're in college or even high school, who may be navigating those similar environments. I went to the University of Iowa. it was very much like that. And so I kind of flip flop. My high school was majority black. Then I go to college and it's all white. Talk to me about how you navigated that environment in high school, and were there any unique challenges that you experienced because of you being who you are and looking like you do?
Yes. When I think back on it, yeah, there were, again, learning everything I could. They wanted to teach me about the Holocaust and zero about slavery.
Mhm.
And I remember one teacher said to me, this was when I was kind of like not really, I was not goofing off, but I wasn't putting my full on potential. Like I'm naturally, I would say, uh, uh, without studying, I can get an A minus, right? Or B. And at
Mhm.
the time, I think freshman year of high school, I was like, I'm going to go to Harvard. Watch me.
Yeah.
And I remember saying this to, I think maybe a dean or a counselor. I don't remember what position she held, but she said, "Not with that grade. Not with these grades. You're not." And I said, "Oh, okay." Pass me the ball. And I remember putting my full on attention on my grades, even though I wasn't
Mm.
athlete. Like we're not like if there were times in track meets that you wait for your time to run. I was reading. I was doing my schoolwork. And to your questions, I'm not sure I answered it about having to navigate. It
Yeah.
it it definitely is different because I feel a lot of my teachers I felt, and I shouldn't say a lot. Some of them came to class with misconceived notions about Black people.
Mm.
And I remember just like not giving it too much energy, but just doing my work.
Mm.
My way of proving them wrong was showing up and doing my work to the best of my ability.
Mm.
And some teachers, that didn't care for certain students, like they did others, or didn't give certain students a second or third try like they would do to the other students. Like
Mhm.
it was apparent. It was apparent,
Mm.
and that's when I learned that, and I started to understand the game is fixed, right? You can't.
Mm.
My job isn't to change your mindset. That's on you. And
Right.
I remember, like, no matter what, if this teacher dislikes me or likes me, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't
Right.
matter because I can't change my skin color, and I'm not going to.
Right.
So I feel like that is when I learned that the people will judge you from their own preconceived notions about what
Mhm.
Black people are. And
Mm.
I learned to like kind of just had my blinders on and like
Mhm.
focused.
Mhm.
So navigating navigating that world did start did start early for me, but I
Mhm.
didn't let it consume me.
Mm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so then you're at Howard. When you got to Howard, did you know day one what you wanted to major in? And let's actually even talk about that major. Did you know? Because I know that there's a lot of young people who may watch this and um, you know, uh, they're in knots about what they should major in, what they shouldn't major in, how this major is going to impact the rest of their life. I know when I was 18, 19, I thought that my major was going to determine my life. Like it was a lot of pressure on that. Like, what are you going to major in? What are you going to major in? And then you felt like if you didn't major in this, maybe you were a loser. If you majored in that, it was great. So a lot of pressure behind major. Did you know day one what you were going to major in? And did what you major in actually, what kind of impact did it actually have in the grand scheme of your corporate career and your entrepreneurial career right now?
Okay, so remember I told you I was in theater classes and stuff like that?
Mhm.
I wanted to be an actress.
Mm.
I was a theater major,
Okay.
and graduating, well, actually, let's take it back. So I majored in theater and acting for
Mm-hmm.
television and film. And
Mm-hmm.
senior year, I took a directing class, and
Okay.
I was smitten. I was like, "This is it. This is
Mm.
it. I want to do this."
Yeah.
So after graduation, I did audition and
Mm-hmm.
for some parts and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
I ended up working for one of the major networks
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as a paid intern. I was making $9 and maybe 25 cents an hour.
Okay, bringing in the big bucks.
I was raking it in. And you had it was an 18-month program to figure out or get hired by one of the major shows, the big shows, either the morning show, the evening news, the sports division. That's what the goal was, or you can go in accounting, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being a guest or just going into the control room when the director was directing the evening news broadcast, and I was like, holy smokes, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
This is it. Like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
And then, navigating the space because it's not exactly welcoming, um, and giving the opportunity by the director to join his crew as a production associate, where I dealt with the lower thirds on, if you watch the evening news or you watch TV, and then they have what's called on the bottom of the screen, if there's text, that's called lower thirds, and I had to spell check
Oh,
every every word that hit the screen and make
okay.
sure that the name matches the person, which is why,
Okay.
it's important to have a diverse crew because, there are plenty of times I feel like on TV where the person would be one actor and they put somebody else's name up there, or one
Yeah. Yeah.
athlete and they put someone. So,
Yeah.
we
Because we all look alike.
exactly. So, and then from that, I moved over to graphics, which was a great experience because I was the liaison between the director and the graphic artist for what
Mm-hmm.
would hit air. And he would say, this is what I want. I want the map. I want a Yemen map. I want it to animate on screen. These are the colors. And I had to make sure that the artist took that information, and Yemen was exactly where it should have been on the map, pointed on the map, and then we will put hit the air. And with that experience is why I was able to navigate with creating my packaging the way it looks, creating the art for my logo the way it looks, just molding my mind of like, okay, how do I communicate exactly what my vitamins have to offer? Vitamin A, we know we put an arrow, it goes for the eyes, certain things like that. Omega 3, we have an arrow, it shows the hair and the brain, just so it's very clear and concise and
Yeah.
that's from my TV experience.
Mm.
And then from there I became a assistant director, and from there I moved into director role. I say it
That,
like steps, like it was easy, it wasn't.
right. No, that is amazing. And I definitely want to dig into that. It's a couple of things that you just mentioned that I want to kind of double click on. First of all, you were flexible enough to still be trying out new things in your junior, senior year in college, and flexible enough to say, I know I was going down this acting path, but maybe I need to take a look at this directing path. Because I think it's so easy for us to get caught up in the idea that I'm coming to college to be this type of person and never being willing to waver. But you were still willing to experience new opportunities and listen to that voice when it felt right for you. But another thing is, in this world that we live in right now, where everybody's talking about getting the bag, everybody's talking about chasing money and getting money, you took that job making almost basically minimum wage for the opportunity, the paid internship, for the opportunity to get the job. You weren't chasing I'm sure you could have did other things that made you more money, but you had a specific dream and vision that you were dedicated to, to pursue that. And then clearly that was kind of your foot in the door, and you took advantage of that opportunity and made the best of it, progressing up in rank. Could you talk to me about that? Because I know you did kind of say, "Yeah, I was director to this, to that, to that." Can you talk to me about that rise? Like, and this is now you talking about that rise in the sense that maybe like somebody's overhearing this conversation who's attempting to make that same take that same journey. Talk to me about that journey for you. What worked? How did you do it? How did you separate yourself from the many people who probably wanted that initial job that you got from the paid internship to all of those other positions that you got promoted on? How did you separate yourself from the pack to have that success?
Well, I will say this. You might be smarter than me. You might be taller than me. You could maybe, do many things better than me, but you can't outwork me.
Mm,
You can't outwork me. And
mm,
I say that jokingly, but the transition that I made from being an intern, paid intern, to actually being a part of the evening news staff as a production associate, then me joining the DGA, the Directors Guild of America, was that I had a plan. My target was, this director has to know that I exist and that I work
mm,
hard. And so
mm,
if he directed the evening news and anything special, and that means, say for instance, there was a shooting in Boston, he had 30 people were murdered, we're going on with a special report. We always see special
mm,
report on TV, right?
mhm,
So
mhm.
if that was on Sunday, guess who was in on Sunday? Me.
Without being asked.
What was that?
I said without being asked to be in there
No,
on Sunday.
I would say, Eric, are you gonna be here on Sunday? And he said, yes, I'll be here too. I'll be here with you. You need me. And I remember
Mm,
one time, New York is known for having really bad snowstorms. And it was just growing up in New York, it was getting to school was they did not shut school down. Just say they did not shut school down. It didn't matter how
yeah,
high the snow was, you're
yeah,
going to
yeah, yeah,
school.
yeah.
So with that, in my background, um, when it snowed, I knew that I had to leave my house maybe 3 hours before to make it on time.
Mm,
And I did not know at the time that the company would give its employees hotel rooms in near work, maybe a block or two away, the night before or 2 days before the snowstorm, because you still had to report to work. And this is how they
mhm.
would help you do that.
Yeah.
But they didn't give it to little old me. I didn't get a hotel
Mm,
room. I didn't know that I was supposed to get a hotel room, but I knew that
mm,
the snow was coming. So with
mm,
that, information, I went to sleep early, I left early and got to work on time.
mm,
And that is the type of things that I think that people should think about. Like, how to stand out amongst the crew, like you asked me, amongst the pact. Don't let anybody outwork you. And I'm not saying that
mm.
you go up, you're become like a yes master. Let me go get your snacks. Like nothing like
Right.
that. It's almost like you get to work not on time, you get there early, you
Mm,
know? And or you don't dress for the job that you have, you dress for the job that you want. You
mm,
people remember how you treat them and how you dress. Be kind,
mm.
everyone, when it's not easy to be kind, because it's easy to be kind when everyone's nice to you. Just be kind
Right.
always if you can.
Mm,
No one's perfect. And like I said, just don't let anybody outwork you.
mm.
If that is what you
Wow.
want, I had a plan and I knew that he was the person. And I remember
Mhm,
going into his office and I overheard that the position of a PA was being opened up, was opening up. And I went to him and I said, I am interested in this position. And he
mm,
said, are you sure? Because it's freelance and we may not have enough money to give you a whole 5 days a week. We could maybe give you 3 or 4. And I said, nope, this is what I want.
mm,
And my manager at the time overheard that conversation with him. His office was near where we sat, where we would answer the phones and get mail and do other things for the crew, she went into his office and she said, I know Sheree says that this is what she wants, but I don't think she's a good fit for that. I don't think she really knows what she wants. And I overheard that conversation. So when she walked out of his office, I went back into his office and said, I know what I want.
mm,
I'm very sure.
mm.
So the process began from there.
Wow. Wow. That was your manager who came in and said that you don't know what you want?
Yeah, she
You
was the
got
manager.
manager hating on you and wow.
And that's what I'm
Thank
saying. I
God.
had to navigate those people who
Yeah.
aren't actually championing, for us. And you
Mm-hmm.
just have to not give them the energy back. Just ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
Swerve around it because you can't change her. I couldn't change her. This is what
Yeah.
she wanted to control my outcome, but you don't let other people control your goals.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so as we're wrapping up, I got a few more questions, Sherece. If you are obviously in this part of your story, you're still working in corporate America, and you were about to make that switch to entrepreneurship. What and obviously that was because you got some unexpected news of them letting you go and all that kind of stuff. The question I have for you is, what have you found? What lessons have you learned from the corporate world and like kind of what it took to make that work and make that happen compared to now in the entrepreneurial world? What are the similarities? What are the differences that you've experienced now that you're in the entrepreneurial world? And also to piggyback on that, what advice would you give to somebody who maybe is in the corporate world but who would really really like to make that jump over to entrepreneurship?
Okay, so let's work backwards. I'll answer your last question first.
Okay.
If you are currently in the corporate world and you are thinking and you want to start your own business, what's stopping you? Start small. I don't think you should jump out the window and buy $50,000 worth of product. If you want to start with $200, you can, because in your corporate salary, you can afford to spend or lose $200 to learn something, because
Mm-hmm,
it's
mm-hmm,
all about learning.
mm,
Don't let your fears stop you.
mm-hmm,
It's better to say I tried than I thought about it and I didn't, and now I don't know. You
mm-hmm,
do know. Now you can, because you tried. And now if you do it
mm-hmm,
again and you made a mistake that crashed and burned, you know what not to do for next time.
mm-hmm,
So don't
mm-hmm,
let your fears stop you. We only have one life. I say that all the time, and life
mm-hmm.
is worth living. And
Absolutely.
what my corporate job, my career taught me about business, I would say packaging. And I mean that in the sense of you have a point A, a point B, a point C, a point D, and you put it all together. Like, I would say my corporate career helped me understand how to deliver a good product. And one, what it's made of, what it looks like, and the
Mm-hmm.
information that I'm trying to deliver out there. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Absolutely.
Trying to make it make sense. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
and it's sometimes it's not about the product, it's about you. It's people want
Mm,
to know about you and your story, and
mm,
if you're likable and if you can deliver that information, because we all live interesting lives.
mhm,
And that's why people like watching soap operas. It's the drama of it all,
mhm,
you
mhm,
know? So I think that is why what helped me with my business, that is I have a story to tell.
mm, and what skill sets are primary? Uh, I guess the question I also want to ask is, what's the distinct skill sets that were required for corporate America that may compared to the distinct skill sets that are required as an entrepreneur, or is it the same, or do you feel like it's kind of the same skill set?
I think it's the same, especially also being an athlete, time management, because it's all about how you manage your time.
Mm,
I can do this at 12
mm,
o'clock, then I could be here at 2, then I could, but you're doing it all on time. And you have a
mm,
checklist and you're just checking it
mm.
off as you go. And being an athlete helped me with that. Working in corporate America helped me with that. And now transitioning to being a full time entrepreneur helped me with that. It's about time management and not wasting. Like nobody, you can't get that back. Time you cannot get back. You can make your
Right.
money back. You can lose that, but your time, let's expand it.
Absolutely. Beware of TikTok, Instagram. They could definitely kill a lot of time. My final question, Sherece,
Yes.
as we think about Dr. Pabs and the success that you are having and will continue to have at Dr. Pabs, talk to me about your vision for Dr. Pabs. In the next 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year. What is your vision for Dr. Pabs? What are you looking to? What do you envision accomplishing with Dr. Pabs, and how do you envision it? What impact do you envision it having on the marketplace and its customers?
Well, I'll go back to what my grandma would say. She would say prevention is better than a cure. And
Mm,
my goal is to create a full round wellness line for us, for people like you and
mm,
me and everyone
mm,
else who wants to join the community. And I saw my grandmother wither away from diabetes.
mm,
And from diabetes, she developed high blood pressure. And
mm.
from taking high blood pressure medicine, she could not, even though she had a very good and clean diet at home, living with my dad and my sister and I and the entire family, she couldn't lose the weight. She was overweight. And if I could help a family or a child or a mom or a dad, just inform them that there are other options and we can and should be paying attention to what we are consuming, then my job is done. So
That
the goal is to create a full wellness line.
Sharice Brown, the owner and founder of Dr. Pabs. She talks to us today from our nation's capital. She is a successful entrepreneur, graduate of Howard University, success story, role model, and we have her here today. We thank you, Sharice, for taking your time to chat with us, and we wish you the best of luck and continued success with your brand, Dr. Pabs.
Thank you. Can find my product on Dr. Pabs. That's DrPabs.com. And you can follow me on social media at Sherece. That's Sherece, the founder. Sherece, the
Absolutely.
founder on Instagram.
And we'll make sure we have all of that information in the description below. Sharice, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. This was a pleasure. You are fun to talk to. You're obviously very intelligent, very entrepreneurial, and energetic. And so I love what you're doing. I love how you're doing it, and I'm definitely going to be rooting for your success along the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.